When we look at the history of navigation, we see that there have always been pirates in this field. Thieves whose job is to attack other ships and seize their property and ships.
When we reach the 16th and 17th centuries, pirates become much more numerous and expand their operations to North and South America. They went there because they saw that shipping was thriving there, and the cargo carried by the ships was all valuable. European colonists would load anything valuable from these two continents to Europe, and food, which was precious at that time, was also found on these ships, like sugar. Many thieves were busy working in the seas, but among these thieves there were also notable ones who became famous and made sailors tremble with fear. The most famous and fearsome pirate is this gentleman, who was called Blackbeard. We don't know exactly what Blackbeard's real name was, but we know he was an Englishman, and many historians have written that his original name was Edward Teach. Blackbeard was an experienced sailor who turned to crime. With his ship, he set off from England and headed straight to the east coast of America, telling his comrades, "The bread and butter is here." Pirates had a specific tactic from ancient times. They tried to terrify their targets into immediately surrendering and obeying whatever they said. Look at their flag. It instills terror. Many people were afraid of them. During the 18th century, when Blackbeard was active, this flag was used by pirates, a skeleton with two bones, and below it, as you can see, is an hourglass, meaning, "Don't waste time. If you waste time, we'll kill you." When they decided to loot a ship, they would immediately hoist this flag and charge toward the ship. But Blackbeard had his own style. For example, he would make himself look terrifying to anyone who saw him. He would set his beard on fire, making people think he was lighting his beard on fire. That's why they'd say, "This guy is crazy," and immediately surrender. But he never actually set his beard on fire. Instead, he would weave black candles into his beard and light them, making it look like both sides of his beard were burning. He started his work in Nassau, Bahamas in 1716 AD. This man was so fearless that he would set off from the Bahamas, traverse the entire eastern coast of Florida, and loot any ship heading from America to Europe. He would go as far north as the state of Virginia and, after filling his ship, return to the Bahamas. On each round trip, which took about 3 weeks, he would loot at least 8 ships, which was a big deal. Other pirates could barely loot one ship by force. The record for looting the most ships in the world belongs to Blackbeard. On one of his round trips, he completely plundered 5 ships. You have no idea what kind of wealth he acquired, from various treasures to food and even African slaves. Blackbeard had a very interesting tactic. Despite instilling fear, he didn't kill anyone. He behaved in a way that made everyone surrender, so he didn't have to kill anyone. After breaking the record for the most ships looted, he noticed that things were getting a bit hectic and that a trap might be set for him. So he headed south, where Spanish and French ships frequently traveled. When he reached near the island of St. Vincent, an island controlled by the French, he saw a very high-class ship on the water, something like a warship. He said, "I must take this one. I need this ship." He easily captured it, and on board were 500 African slaves. He said, "Leave the slaves be for now," and near Personnel Island, he disembarked them. With his new ship, La Concorde, and his own ship, he returned to the Bahamas. Of course, he changed the name of La Concorde to Queen Anne's Revenge, meaning the revenge of Queen Anne.
Queen Anne was the Queen of England during this period, and it's unclear why he gave it this name, though he himself was English. Now, he had a modern ship equipped with 40 cannons all around, meaning no ship could say no to it unless it was a military vessel capable of fighting it. At this point, Blackbeard was a powerful captain. He had 4 equipped ships, and the Queen Anne's Revenge was his flagship, which he commanded. The others followed him with 250 personnel. With the power he had gained, he didn't just target ships, he also invaded various islands and plundered their wealth. On his way to the Gulf of Mexico, he plundered all the islands and ships along the route. He entered the Gulf of Mexico, which was full of Spanish ships, all loaded with valuable goods taken from Mexico to Spain, which were themselves plundered. This is where the Spanish also came to know this Blackbeard and named him El Gran Diablo, which in Spanish means the Great Devil. When his work in the Gulf of Mexico was done, he decided to head north again and start from Florida. At that time, the coasts of Florida were where you could find ships from all countries, even ships from various American states. You should know that at that time, America was not yet united, and each state had its own government. After looting Florida, he headed north towards South Carolina, specifically the port of Charleston, a very important port at the time where many ships came to unload and load cargo. Blackbeard and his men didn't just target the ships there. They took control of the entire port and stationed themselves there. They seized every ship trying to enter or leave and looted them. Here, he acquired enormous wealth. These news angered the state governments of America, and they said, "Who is this guy looting everywhere? We must catch him somehow." But Blackbeard's spies informed him, warning him to be careful because they were after him. So he moved north to the Topsail Inlet area of North Carolina to hide himself and his ships. The government of North Carolina found out that he had come there with great wealth and said, "Why should we turn away such wealth? Let's make a deal with him." They approached Blackbeard and said, "If you give your wealth to this state, we will pardon you, and you can stay here. Unlike other pirates, we won't execute you." Blackbeard also saw that it was better to accept. He stayed there for a few months but got bored. He said, "What kind of life is this? It has no excitement." Using his connections, he found a few pirates in the area and said, "I want to join you and continue my work." They saw what a formidable figure Blackbeard was. Not only did they accept him, but they made him the captain of their ships. He once again set sail and started working. The governor of the neighboring state, Virginia, became angry when he found out that Blackbeard had resumed work. He said, "What does this mean? He's making the coasts unsafe again." So he ordered the Navy, "Wherever you find them, destroy them." North Carolina had pardoned him and promised not to execute him, but the government of Virginia said, "North Carolina's promise has nothing to do with us. We must punish him." The Virginia Navy kept its eyes and ears open and searched for him. They knew he might be spotted around North Carolina, so they went there. Finally, on November 22, 1718, Blackbeard's ship was sighted. The Virginia Navy headed straight for his ship, rammed it, boarded each other's ships, and sword fighting began. The Virginia Army not only defeated them, but also killed Blackbeard. Everyone who reached him stabbed him with a knife. They hated him so much and were so angry that the Virginia soldiers each stabbed him with a knife. The captain of the Virginia Navy ship, who succeeded in eliminating Blackbeard, ordered Blackbeard's head to be cut off and hung in front of the ship so that other pirates would learn a lesson and other ships would know he was dead and rest easy.
Blackbeard not only broke that record, but also set other records. He was active for only 2 years, but in those 2 years, he looted more than 50 ships and spared very few islands. That's why he is one of the most famous pirates, because no pirate in history has been able to loot 50, 55 ships. Others loot 1 or 2 or 5 and get killed, but he continued his work and enjoyed it so much that he could have easily stayed in North Carolina and lived freely. But he set sail again, which turned out to be his final journey.